Before you build your Go-Kart Alley kit, you need to paint the frame. In my last video, I gave you several things to consider as to which method is best for your build. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get a quality paint job using rattle can paint. I love rattle can paint for several reasons. It screams do it yourself. It's also affordable, readily available, and in a wide selection of colors. There's no setup or cleanup, it sprays any angle, and it's ready to go when you are. But before I get started showing you how to paint a go-kart, we need to discuss where and on what you should paint your go-kart. Most people will go with a setup like this, bridging the frame across two sawhorses. If this works for you, you're going to want to start with the bottom side first. This is for several reasons. One, it gives you a chance to kind of warm up as you're painting on the bottom side where nobody's going to see. That way if you make any mistakes, no one's going to see them. And two, it also reduces any chance for blemishes when you flip it over and the new paint touches the sawhorse. That being said, it's my recommendation that when you paint the bottom, make sure and get everything that's on the bottom and give yourself a full 48 hours of cure time before you flip it over. That way it reduces the amount of blemishes that you're going to have, and it eliminates your chance for having any paint wrinkle in the overspray from top to bottom. The General was the very first go-kart we restored for Go-Kart Alley, and it was painted this way on sawhorses. A friend of mine named Shorty knew what I was doing. In fact, his kid wound up being one of the kids in one of the Go-Kart Alley episodes. He knew what I was doing. He offered to paint all the go-karts. Well, after painting the first one this way, I asked him if he was ready for a second. He said, man, hell no. I would rather paint a Suburban than another go-kart. Well, then it fell on me. I knew I was going to have to do the rest of the painting. I did the second one this way, and I knew I had to come up with something. So for the third go-kart, which was Bandit, I built my own paint rotisserie for go-karts. The first one that I built was made for a cost of $0 out of literally dumpster dove materials from a church. And it literally costed me nothing, and I built it in about 30 minutes, and it saved me so much. So if you have two kits, if you're planning on painting more than one go-kart, I highly recommend this, and I think maybe a bonus video I'll show you how you can build one on a budget with no welding involved. Even if you're painting one, it may be worth it for you. But again, if you just got to build on sawhorses, if you have to put it on a tabletop, if you have to put it on the box that it came in, you want to make sure and paint the bottom first. Give yourself 48 hours for a good cure time. Flip it over and paint the top side and get a good gloss on that. That 48-hour rule, that's just for recoat. If you don't get all your painting done within the first hour, leave that thing alone for 48 hours or your paint will wrinkle on you. So before we get started painting, I'm going to talk about practice. So if you've never painted anything before, you're going to want to find something to practice on. I'm going to be using this old two-wheeler frame. I thought that would make a good candidate. You want to make sure that it's something tubular so it gives you the feel for painting your go-kart frame. You don't want to just start in on your brand new go-kart frame and find out that your technique's not good, that you're going to get a bunch of drips and runs. It's better you do it on something like this. If you don't have a two-wheeler, you can go out on trash day and find something set out by the curb. I found this old folding chair, very tubular, it's got some flat surface. You could also use like a gas grill frame, anything like that. Just find something that it doesn't matter if you mess up on. This will give you a good idea about how to go about it. Also, as far as clothing, you want to wear something old, homely, something sanctified that you're not going to worry about getting messed up, especially shoes, because paint drifts down a lot. Also do it in a nice open area where you have plenty of ventilation. You don't have to worry about that. If you have to paint inside, you want to take some precautions, put up plastic, and then take some consideration from ventilation. You want to make sure that you have some fresh air coming in. Also, you'll want to wear a mask. You could wear one of the cheap masks, but I think that they're in short supply. You want to get something like this that's really going to filter your air so you don't have to worry about breathing in fumes and paint particulate. For this little short bit of thing, I'm going to have it off so that you can hear me talking. I'm going to show you how to get started practicing on your practice piece. So you probably want to start with an old can of paint you have around, but make sure that it flows good. Check, make sure the nozzle's not stopped up or anything. Just give it a couple test sprays, make sure it's coming out. If you want to try on just like a piece of this wood here, or this, and make sure that it's not coming out in splatter sprays. This one appears to be flowing good. If it's not flowing good, just take that cap off and get one off your new paint and try with that, but Don't leave it sit around too long. You want to put it back on your new paint and paint your go-kart as soon as possible. So the first things that you're going to want to focus on are these hard to reach spots. Up in here, like up in these holes wouldn't matter on something. Up in these nooks and crannies and hard to get spots are the ones that you're going to want to paint first. You want to get as much coverage on those hard to reach places first to make sure that they're covered. You don't want to paint the whole go-kart and then come back and start hitting those hard to reach spots and get too much paint in there. You're definitely going to have a run. So just hit them nice and light, then you'll come back in, hit them again to make sure you got them covered. Then you're going to want to lay down your base coat on the whole frame. Now when you're painting, you want to make sure and have nice long, knock my cap off there. You want to make sure and have nice long sprays across for the big runs that you can. You want to start spraying before you get to it. So it's almost like in an arc, you're going to be going like, sorry for the sound effects. So you're going to want to start spraying out here, start laying that down and not hold in too close and pull back. When you're doing the first coat, you want to hold it further away, let that paint go down there. It kind of dries in midair and gets tacky and will stick to that frame better. You'll come back slightly closer on the finished coat and that will give you a nice liquidy coat that is glossy. That's how you get your gloss on. But for the first one, you want to just start out here at a distance. You see the way that comes. Nice even coat across there. Let me go ahead and show those nooks and crannies then. I'm gonna get in here and get those hard to reach spots first. Just nice light shots. That's why I like the anywhere angles that can get in those hard to reach spots. Usually anything that's got a weld bead, that's gonna pool up and collect. These are some more in here. Obviously when you're painting your go-kart, you're not gonna be flipping over something that you've just painted like that. It's gonna stick to your sawhorses and mess up the paint. That's why I said earlier, you wanna paint everything on one side, make sure you get it all, let that cure for 48 hours, come back and paint the other side. But in these cases, here's some more really hard to reach spots. You want to zoom in on that? These are some more really hard to reach spots. You want to hit those first and just hit them light and then get out of there, because if you'll be tempted to just hit it that one little more, and that's the one that's going to be giving you a run. So make sure and be careful about those things. And that's another reason why you want to practice on something like this, because you'll get that feel for when you're like, oh, I'm just going to give it one more little shot to get that uncovered spot, and you get a run. That'll ruin your day on your brand new frame. So you can see I laid down that real light coat. It's actually, you can see some of the old red showing through down beneath there. And that's just the idea of your first light coat that's just going to stick it on there. When you come back for your gloss coat, you're going to want to come a lot closer. But you got to be more careful that you're not laying down a drip. So it should look wet enough to run, but stop before it runs. So here's where you get tempted to just come in and lay this down, and oh, it's looking so good, just a little bit more there. And you see the way it's getting liquid, it was starting to run down. That's going to leave a run down on the bottom of this tube. So less is more. Nice light coats. If you think you're getting close to running, then make sure and pull your can further away from the workpiece. But to get that final gloss coat, you do have to come closer after your paint's nice and sticky. I'm going to show you what happens when you don't wait a full 48 hours to recoat your paint job. Looking pretty good, got a decent gloss on it, but you think, oh, I want to add another coat in less than 48 hours. See the way that wrinkled up right before your eyes? So always make sure and get your first coat done in 30 minutes. Leave it alone for 48 hours, full 48 hours before you do a recoat. If not, you're gonna have to sand off that wrinkle. Wait anyway, paint it again, wait again, paint again. So take my advice, wait 48 hours if you can't get it all done the first 30 minutes. So practice on these things, get your technique down, and you can have a real nice looking go-kart in no time flat.